you check the children? You're a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird, and I'm here to discuss a movie that you haven't necessarily heard about yet. Now, this is a independent horror feature, and it is foreign as well, and it is something that is extraordinarily worth your time. I'm going to be talking about a movie called When Evil Lurks. So this is actually the fourth film by writer-director Demian, I believe it's, hang on, let me make sure I get it right, Demian Rugna. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but that's what it spells out. But the reason that I'm excited about this movie is twofold, or the reason I was excited to go see this movie was twofold. The first was that it was recommended by a friend of the channel and great horror channel in and of himself, Sinister Cinema Reviews, Jason over there. He saw this movie and he wholeheartedly recommended it, says he probably thinks it's his tops of 2023 so far. And he also let me know the other thing that made me really excited, which is it's the same writer-director as the movie Terrified from 2017. Now, Terrified is one of my favorite horror movies of the past decade, flat out. I absolutely love that film, and as soon as I found that out from Jason, I was like, oh shit, I need to make time for this movie. And it's a similar situation as to what happened with Cobweb a few months back, where it is in limited theaters right now. This weekend, it released in a limited release format in theaters, and so like 5 theaters locally have it. And it's the exact same theaters that had Cobweb too, it seems like. So it's one of those things. Cobweb is a fantastic movie that a lot of people missed because they didn't even know about it. This is another one that is a fantastic movie. There were only about 5 people in the theater when I went and saw it. And that was at a 6 p.m. showing on a Friday night. So it's a little surprising that it was, that sparse. But it just means that so many people... So this movie is due to be released on Shudder on October 27th. And that it's going to get a ton of buzz after that happens. People are going to be talking about this movie because I'm telling you what, I loved When Evil Lurks. I frankly adored this movie, only in so much as, so far as you can adore a horror movie. You know what I mean? Like, there's some deeply, deeply messed up stuff, and there is one particular sequence that is going to live with me for the rest of my life. I'm a father now, and this is a film about a father and a bunch of other things that I'll get into in just a moment here in the story. But as my overall thoughts, I mean, this film blew me away. It was so entertaining and unpredictable and unafraid to go places that very, very few movies tend to go. And that's what helped contribute to the 100% unpredictability of this film. I've been watching horror movies my whole life. It feels like, obviously, I probably started, a few years into my life, but I've been watching them for many, many years, and it takes a lot for me to see something new and something that scares me. Things don't scare me the same way they used to, They're jump scares, sure, those will get me, jolts and whatnot. A couple of them got me in Exorcist Believer, but this one was disturbing with its scenes and scary with how it played out and choices and consequences of said choices. And it keeps you on it keeps you on your heels, like it keeps you off balance the whole movie, and it's so entertaining in that way. So, I mean, my overall thoughts are this is one of, if not the best horror movie of 2023. And I have liked quite a few horror movies in 2023. I have a number of 4-starred horror movies, 4 out of 5-starred horror movies that have come out this year. I was looking at my list just a bit ago, actually just yesterday, and this one is the 4.5, almost 5-star arena. This movie is so good, at least in my opinion, right? Film is subjective, but I agree very much with Jason Smith on this one. this movie rules. So the story, just getting into it real quickly, is, by the way, the link to the trailer is going to be in the description box. We don't overlay clips because it leads to copyright issues. So go ahead and click that link and pull up the trailer in another window if you want while I talk about it. And yeah, you can watch footage of the movie. But the trailer does give some things away that if you go into this thing completely blind, it's going to be an absolute hair blown back situation. So make your choice there. But yeah, the trailer link will be in the description box if you want to see footage from the film while I talk about it. The story, though, is about two brothers who live in a world where something has happened. It's only kind of alluded to a few times, but this is a small town that they live in South America, I believe, or maybe no, Mexico. I'm not even sure where it was set, because they spoke Spanish. Right, so that's, I guess I could check and see if it says on the thing here. Let me see. It will tell me. Spanish, okay, so it's Spanish horror film. So I guess it takes place in Spain. But yeah, so these two brothers catch wind of something that is happening, right? The one night they hear gunshots in the woods nearby, and the next morning, this is the very first thing that happens in the movie. They go into the woods to search for what might have been the source of the gunshots, and they find a body that's literally been severed in half. And they don't know whose body it is. They have guesses because it's been torn to pieces. There's legs and then the rest of it. And they're not shy in showing you these effects, so much so that the dogs that they take with them into the woods have to be shooed away from trying to chew on stuff. But it's a really great setup, and they're like, okay, well, who is this? What is going on? And they are doing an investigation of homes nearby, and they get to this home where a older woman has a son that is helping her, but she has another son that's apparently very ill. And they were expecting what was called a cleaner. And she says he's possessed, and we were waiting for the cleaner, and the two brothers realize that the cleaner was probably the body in the woods and that he's not coming, and they go and look at her son, and it's this really grotesque, bloated, like pustule infested man that is more than what he seems. And there's a little bit of taunting dialogue, and from this point it would do you a disservice as a viewer to tell you where the movie goes, because that's one of the things that I absolutely loved. I could not predict what was going to happen, but they see that this dude is there and they believe that he's possessed, and so they need to figure out what to do, because in this world, possession transfers via touch, like almost immediately, and there's a number of rules. Like apparently the whole world is aware of possession nowadays, and big cities are not necessarily surviving and thriving right now. You don't get a view of them, but it's all just alluded to. It's just this small town that this story takes place in. But they talk about these things, and it's such an interesting layout for a world for these events to take place in. And so they have to figure out what to do about this possessed person. And I'm telling you, what I'm saying is, this is not your typical possession movie. There is nary an exorcism to be found in this film, but there is demon possession, and it's done so interestingly and so disturbingly. I'm telling you, there's a couple of scenes where I literally shouted 2 different times in the film, "Oh my God!" Like, no bullshit, guys. Like, and I'm not one to try and overhype things. I'm just genuinely this excited about this movie, because it's an experience unlike which you get very often in the horror genre, just like what Terrified did. This writer-director is like James Wan level or better, you know what I mean? Like, he is so creative with his scares that it's unlike any horror viewing experience you have out there. The poster that I have up, I mean, the context of the poster, when you watch the movie, I was like, that was one of the oh my gods. That was one of them. And it is so aggressive and just, it catches you so off guard throughout the film. I just absolutely loved the story and how it played out, but I can't say much about it beyond what I've already said. What I've already said, that's about the first 15 minutes of the movie. So there's tons more after that you just do not know what is headed your way. But it's possession by way of the spread of a zombie virus after a fashion. Again, that's not giving anything away. It's just sort of giving you an idea. Acting wise, there's absolutely, it's aces across the board. It's phenomenal. Everyone does exactly what they need to do, and you are so ingratiated to the characters. That's what helps with the horror of the circumstances that occur, because man, ain't no one safe in when evil lurks. Ain't no one safe. And it, oof. I'm not going to spoil anything, but just trust me. The acting is phenomenal all across the board. I absolutely really loved it. There's one, I would say the only thing that stuck out to me was one particular shot of a bereaved child. And it was, you could tell the kid was trying hard to make it seem like he was sad, but didn't necessarily go the best. But outside of that one shot in the entire movie, everything came off completely wonderful, genuine, and completely ingratiating as far as the story goes. Acting brings you right into it. So filmmaking wise, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's made so well. The camera angles help tell the story in unique ways. They give you hints, and if you're paying attention, you can stay a little bit ahead at times, but there's other times where you're just like, oh my god, no way. So but the filmmaking is aces. It's phenomenal. It's the sound design is crazy good. I gotta say, the score was interesting. It's very, of the culture. So there's a lot of, it sounds like, not necessarily mariachi bands, but, lots of acoustic guitar stuff that sounds like it could be played by a mariachi band. But, it doesn't have the and stuff like that. It's more moody sort of stuff. So it's interesting. It's engaging kind of stuff. I hope that didn't come off as as offensive to anyone. But there's a lot of that in some mariachi music. So anyway, let me quietly tiptoe out of that minefield that I probably already lost a leg in. So the effects are so incredible. This director, Damian, is absolutely a fan of practical effects. There's perhaps some CG augmentation of blood at times, but there is straight up practical effects throughout that help sell everything, that you're just like, it's just like so many things are like, ew, like that kind of effect. It's those solid practical effects, and wonderful use of practical effects, wonderful use of gore to get the story point across. And I'm telling you, there's one particular scene, I mentioned it earlier, but there's one particular scene that is going to forever remain in my mind as one of the most grotesque scenes I've run across. And the setup for it, you don't necessarily know it's going to go this way, but when you get to the reveal, and it's just, your heart sinks. Like, you cannot believe what you're seeing. Just like the character that is seeing it for the first time as well. One of the brothers is bearing witness to this, and you see just how much it's like a scene straight out of hell. Like, oh my god. I know how inflated this sounds, you guys, but this was a very disturbing scene, especially as a father. You know, you just... Anyway, moving on from that, there's not much else to say without spoiling it. Just that you guys need to make time to watch When Evil Lurks. I have not ruined nearly as much as you might think I would have ruined with the few things that I've said. There is still 85 to 90% of film for you to discover. It is, again, dropping on Shudder on October 27th. And thank you once again to Jason from Sinister Cinema Reviews. I'll put a link to his channel in the description box as well, because I texted him. He said he was going to watch it. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's the new movie from the guy that made Terrified. And I was like, no way. And then the next day I was like, how was it? I was like, is it worth a trip to the theater? Because I was 20 minutes away from the newest showing and I had some time. I was like, is it worth it to go to the theater? And he texts back 1 and then probably 40 zeros and a percent. It was like 10 squigillion percent it is worth going to the theater to see. And I completely agree. If you guys have this playing in your town, go and watch it. It is so worth it. And take someone that is scared. If you want to cuddle up to someone, take someone that is scared easily or even not scared easily. Because again, I'm not scared easily. And it's not that I was scared, but I was absolutely disturbed by things in this film. And it showed me things, it did things that I haven't experienced before in horror films. And it showed things that we haven't seen before, I should say, which is definitely something to be lauded, right? Everything right now feels like it's derivative of something else. This does not feel derivative of anything else. Tone-wise, it's not far off of The Dark and the Wicked, which is one of our favorite movies from just a few years back. I think it's also available on Shudder, but it's very much that sort of vibe. And yeah, if you liked Dark and the Wicked, if you liked Terrified, if you like possession movies and you want to see something doing something completely different with the premise, that the phone just said, ding, 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 this is the movie for you. So there you go, guys. That's going to do it for my thoughts on When Evil Lurks. Please watch it and return back here and tell me in the comments if I was wrong. If you didn't like it as much as me, or if it blows your socks off the way it did mine. I'd really love to know y'all's thoughts on it. I know Ghost Pirate Entertainment, Kanan over there, he adored the movie as well. So shout out to the people that are giving this one a try. I know Cody Leach talked about it. Sean Chandler talked about it. Another ding, ding, ding right there. So yeah, this movie is very much worth your time. So go and check it out. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. There's a link to that in the description box if you want to join that as well. There's currently a Dylan's New Nightmare Q&A on there that is only available to the patrons. And guess what? It only costs $1 to join Patreon. So if you want to click that link and watch that almost hour-long Q&A from Mad Monster, then go do so. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Looking forward to seeing your thoughts on this. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird, and remember, stay scared.